Welcome to Troubadour Reacts. My name is Kirk Barbera, and I am musically challenged, at least according to my high school band instructor. And on this channel, I try to experience art that I am less familiar with and less knowledgeable about, which is definitely contemporary music. I am a little bit knowledgeable about the great books of the literary canon, from Homer to Melville. On this channel, I try to experience art that I'm less familiar, which is more contemporary art and music. And I also hope to inspire you to explore art that you're less comfortable with, that you're less familiar with. And one way to get started with that is you can check out my book, a translation of the Iliad by Homer. And in this translation, I've worked really hard to get the translation down to a reading level that anybody who can speak and read English will be able to understand. And I also have some guidelines to help you understand this ancient text that was written and orally transmitted thousands of years ago. So you can go to troubadour.studio/Iliad to check that out. You can also get chapter 1 for free if you want to check it out first before you purchase. And then there's also an art social group that you can join for free that's open to the public on my personal website, which is troubadour.studio. There's also courses that I put together. There's a literary canon club that is a paid book club that I help people get through and read and enjoy the literary canon from Homer to Melville. Okay, so today we're going to be discussing and reacting to first and then discussing the Money Game Part 2. So I've already recorded Money Game Part 1, and I plan to do Money Game Part 3 by Ren. And this has been, of all of them, such an intrigue. I mean, they've all been so intriguing so far, all the reactions I've done to Ren's music. This one's really intriguing because there's a lot that I wholeheartedly agree with in terms of there's real problems in the way that, at least in the first one that I saw of Money Game, there's some real problems with the way that the economic political structure has been developed. And you can clearly see bad levels of corruption, which he talked about in the first one a little bit, right? And I'm curious to see what he says here in part 2 and where we're going with his views, because I'm really enjoying understanding and learning where he's coming from in his perspective, because I have a developed perspective on this. I've worked and studied economics. I worked at think tanks in America. So I'm just very interested in, and I think I have a lot of similar sympathies to Ren. I might have a few philosophical differences, but his are very understandable. So I don't necessarily disagree with anything. And a lot of what he's saying is just so wonderful. But in terms of just the way he portrays it, it's such great art. And I'm so excited to dig into this a little bit more. Now, before we get started, I do want to do the comment of the day, and this one comes from my video Lit Teacher Reacts Ren, the Tale of Jenny and Screech. This one stuck out to me because I thought it was it would allow me to rectify a mistake I made in speaking on the first, I think it was the first or second Ren video that I did. It might have been this one, actually, the Tale of Jenny and Screech. Ren has so much love and respect for the reactor community. Yeah, definitely true. He's awesome. This shows strongly in his 1 million subscriber video. He is more than happy for you to monetize your reactions to his work. If you get a copy strike, you reach out to his team and they will whitelist you. By the way, somebody on the team reached out to me on one of my Facebook channels. That's how wonderful they are. It's crazy. Well, I don't know if it was his team. I shouldn't say that. I think it was somebody who managed something. I'm not certain. But again, I'm new to all of this. So I don't mean disrespect to anybody. I could see the renegades have come out to support you. We are the tide to rise all ships. Subscribe to follow your Ren journey. And it's been a fun journey, particularly because the music is wonderful. I'm really, really, truly enjoying the music itself, but also because you guys are also wonderful. So the mistake that I made is in one of my previous videos, I said that I don't get monetized for this, Ren gets monetized for it. That's the typical way. If I as a reactor will get any monetization, at most, I've seen it be maybe split my reaction to my video to theirs, which I think is more than fair. In fact, I think it's fair if they get all of it, because you guys are all here predominantly because of the wonderful artistic creation of Ren. As a reactor, I want him personally to become elevated. And I want you guys to buy his merchandise, buy anything that he's selling, because I do think money is actually very good in that sense, because he needs money to put, I saw a video of him where he said he's put like tens of thousands of dollars of his own money into Sick Boy, which was taken down. And I need to finish this video of why it was taken down from YouTube, which is really sad. But these types of things happen, and it's very expensive to do what he's doing, not just in terms of his time and the development of his, of all of his faculties and skills and the training where he got no money. He was just doing this by himself. And then just the production value and the creation and the editing and all, like, it costs a lot of money. So I want these guys to make more money. I'm actually pro that. So I wanted to say that in the money game. So I'm interested to hear what he has to say about that. Now, having said that, I do think it can get weird within a broader corporate structure, because I'll just say I studied media and film production in college, and I learned a lot about the history of cinema and film and media and the conglomerates that happened. And I do agree it becomes really problematic, because one thing that will happen, for instance, is these media corporations will buy the rights to everything, to a bunch of different, like all the work of a whole group of people, just so they have trading rights to sell something else that they really want, which means that an artist will have to sit there and watch their stuff get corrupted or just sit on a shelf, not being shown, only because they want to package it with something else to sell it on a bigger scale. Now, having said that, there's also some things about the ability to fund a lot of things and how expensive it has been in the past. So it's a weird, mixture of challenges that I think we need to continually refine. And I think things are getting better, which is why I want everyone to support Ren even more than you already do. Okay, I've talked way too long. I apologize. Let's get into this. Ooh, I like the framing. We're watching a boob tube.
Strange time of living in panic and hysteria. Poor man learn, the rich man don't care for your narcissist mindset spread like malaria. Sit back and watch the show. America.
Okay.
Through fickle shit. A government of hypocrites. These counterfeit politicians.
So he's talking to me, I feel, as an American.
Not adequate. Come on. Needlessly bleeding resources.
I just love his rhyme.
Turn a blind eye if it means a pay rise. Oh, what a shame it would be. I would die if number 10 Downing Street burned in a fire.
I know that.
Only messing, don't be stressing.
Prime Minister.
I'm a peaceful adolescent. There's no need to be unpleasant. Write my thesis in a rhyme scheme to analyze the brain while my fingers on the trigger of a money game. Oh, rain, 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 rain.
Oh, this is the same. Kind of the same as Money Game 1. Ooh, these images. It's easier to blame. But point the mirror at ourselves. We're all part of this whole money game. Yeah, he's all about that. Pointing at yourself. Yep. Yep. This old money game. Never let a good crisis go to waste is an old, not even that old. It was something that was said by one of, I think President Obama's chief of staff or something like that. I can't remember his name. But that's an idea. It's not, he didn't invent that. I don't think it's been around for a long time, but never let a crisis go to waste. And boy, I think all politicians have played this game for sure. I just love the sound of this. God.
Money is a game and the ladder we climb turns a saint into a sinner with his finger in crime. I'll break it down for you motherfuckers line by line. This is business economics in a nursery rhyme.
Yes, I was thinking nursery rhyme.
On a seashore, but the value of these shells will fall due to the laws of supply and demand. No one wants to buy shells because there's loads on the sand. Step 1, must create a sense of scarcity. Shells will sell much better if the people think they're rare, you see. Bear with me, take as many shells as you can find and hide them on an island. Stockpile them high until they're rarer than a diamond. Step 2, Gotta make the people think that they want them, really want them, really fucking want them. Hit them like Bronson. Influencers, product placement, featured primetime entertainment. If you haven't got a show, then you're just a fucking waste, man. Free. It's monopoly. Invest inside some property. Start a corporation, make a logo, do it properly. Shells must sell, that will be your new philosophy. Swallow all your morals, they're a poor man's quality. 4. Expand, expand, expand. Clear forest, make land, fresh blood on hands. 5. Why just shells? Why limit yourself? She sells seashells, sell oil as well. 6. Guns, sell stock, sell diamonds, sell rock, sell water to a fish, sell the time to a clock. 7. Press on
sell the time to a clock.
Off the brakes, then run to be the president of the United States. 8. Big smile, make big wave, that's great.
Dang.
Now the truth is overrated, tell lies out the gate. 9. Polarize the people, controversy is the game. It don't matter if they hate you, if they all say your name. 10.
Dang.
The world is yours. Step out on the stage to a round of applause. You're a liar, cheat, a devil, a whore, and you sell seashells on the seashore. Rain, 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 rain. A storm, it comes our way. And no surprise to distorted lies. Poison in the
He doesn't hold back.
But we die upon the blame, 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 blame. It's easier to blame. But point the mirror at ourselves. We're all part of this whole money game.
Gotta point out ourselves. Scrooge McDuck, of course, gotta have him in there.
This old money game. This old.
Damn, I like that. Woo! Damn, man, there's... no, I don't want to say that. Man. All right. So what I want to do is I want to reflect a little bit on it, listen to it again on my own and kind of look through some of the lyrics. I'm going to gather some more references, but there's so many references, especially when you're dealing with this vision of economics that he's talking about. There's a lot that we have inherited through literature, drama, art, and philosophy for thousands of years about our perceptions of money. In other words, there's a lot of baggage when it comes to money. I don't come from money, and I definitely understand the desire for money and the challenge of trying to attain and achieve money honorably and through good trade and honest work and not lying and cheating and stealing and confiscating and using the government power to take things that you want in order to aggrandize yourself. And that's a big challenge that's always been part of the story that we need to confront. A couple of literary things that came to mind. I actually thought of a little bit of when he was talking about strange times we're living in, panic, hysteria, and government hypocrites. I was thinking of a poem by Yeats, W.B. Yeats, The Second Coming, which I think is kind of about collapse and hysteria. There's a line in there, things fall apart, the center cannot hold, mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. And there's definitely, I'm getting a vibe of that from really the whole series on the money game, but in this one in particular, that came to mind. And I did want to say something about the images in this music video. So I'm wondering, like, this is number 2 of Money Game Part 2. I'm looking over here at the video itself. And yeah, like I thought the choice to use all these intercut images on a screen really powerful. Like it kind of reminded me of V for Vendetta, the movie. I never read the book that it's based on, but I know the movie and I like the movie a lot. And there's a lot about media and what media does to your mind and the kind of images that he's spinning here over and over again, I thought was really interesting. It really made me think of a book that I think everyone should read, actually, a nonfiction history book by Dr. Leonard Peikoff called The Ominous Parallels. And it's a book that actually showcases the underlying philosophical cultural world of the Weimar Republic, the republic that led to inexorably to National Socialist Germany, Nazi Germany. So basically, after World War I and really preceding World War I even, there was a whole philosophical framework that was developed over time and that culminated into Nazi Germany. And what Peikoff does brilliantly is he shows that there are seeds of this philosophy in American philosophy, which I think is 100% accurate. And he's not saying that America is Germany, is Weimar Republic Germany. He's not saying that it's that. He's saying there's some ominous parallels. That's all. There's some ominous parallels we need to be aware of. I'm in the States. I live in Austin, Texas, that we need to be careful of. So I think that's a really good book everyone should read. Study that, because we have to be aware of the kind of corruption that's out there. And it's up to us as individuals. That's what I got from Ren, is like, we have to look at ourselves, the philosophies that we bear the torch of, whether we're aware of it or not. That's the tricky thing about so much of the artistic and symbolic meaning that has been ingested into me and into you and to all of us. And we need to put a mirror to ourselves and try to move into a better world. So he has that line, strange things we're living in, panic and hysteria, a government of hypocrites. Made me think of Yeats' Second Coming. Made me think even of the hypocrites in Canto 23 of Dante's Inferno. And I think a good, although Ren doesn't say this yet, there's still a number 3 of the money game, so I'm curious the imagery. But the image of a hypocrite is a powerful one, and we need to take that and try to visualize what a hypocrite really is. I mean, there's Molière's Tartuffe. There's a lot that has been discussed about hypocrites. We all hate hypocrites, I think. All of us, even hypocrites hate hypocrites. Nobody likes the hypocrite. But yet, sometimes I'm a hypocrite, sometimes you're a hypocrite. We need to be mindful of it. The hypocrites that I think Ren is talking about is the same kind of hypocrite that Dante was talking about, which was the government hypocrite. And that word, it's a great, hypocrite. Again, he had such he's choosing great words and he rhymes them and puts great meter with them. Well, but here's the quote in Dante that I found. Their cloaks were gilded bright outside, but inside all of lead. So heavy that Frederick's capes would seem but straw. And Frederick is reference to an actual person. But what he's talking about is Dante is going down into the pits of hell. He's guided by Virgil, and he sees all these people suffering in different kinds of punishments in the Inferno. One of them are the people that are cloaked with gilded bright outside. And I think I saw a lot of that in Ren here, where he was showing this more than saying this in the music video, but talking about how we put brightness, I shouldn't say we, some people do, these hypocrites, these political hypocrites, they gild. In other words, what they're doing is they show a face of virtue and goodness, but inside, so the punishment is they have a gilded with gold, you could think of, bright outside. It looks beautiful robe or cloak, but it's all lead. So they're all crushed by this cloak. That's their punishment. And the whole point of it is that you're putting a face of a good, virtuous person. This is Tartuffe, Molière's Tartuffe. But underneath, you're all lies and corruption and deceit and evil and things like that. And I think a lot of, I think to be a high-level politician, you have to kind of do that. I don't know how you can get to the highest levels of the land without doing some of that. And that's unfortunate. And I think it's a problem. So I don't know how much Ren would agree with that part, but, I don't want to put anything on Ren, by the way. He's his own dude doing some great stuff. So I have my views. He has his views. Yeah. So there's something about King Lear that I wrote down here. Through tattered clothes, small vices do appear. Robes and furrowed gowns hide all. Plate sin with gold, and the strong lance of justice hurtless breaks. The idea, again, is you're cloaking yourself in virtue. You're signaling virtue. But really within, you don't believe those things. You have, nefarious views that you hold, genuinely hold. Or, you might even have some really horrible views. There's a painting by Lorenzetti, Allegory of Good and Bad Government, which I think is interesting to look at. I was thinking about this one. Okay, here's another line that really stuck out to me in Ren. My thesis in a rhyme scheme: analyze the brain, mirror at ourselves. So he had this whole thing about this thesis. I like that he puts it in thesis, an intellectual sense. So he is an intellectual, right? He has a thesis, I do think, but he's putting it into a rhyme scheme. which I think we need more of that, actually. I think we need less of the academic intellectuals out there, and we need more of the Ren type intellectuals, the artistic intellectuals, which, by the way, we used to have more in the world. I think the Orwells and the even the Ray Bradburys, and I'm going to say Ayn Rand. I know a lot of people don't like her, but she's very intellectual. I think whether you agree with any of all those people or not, but that type of artist, I like that Ren is in that vein. So here's a Shakespeare quote from Hamlet. The purpose of playing was and is to hold as 'twere the mirror up to nature. I did a whole couple videos on Hamlet on my other channel, on @Troubadour channel. And there's a lot about how he uses art in that sense, or drama, to reveal the inner nature of his enemies, but also of himself. And he's trying to see the inner world of another person, which we always can't. So I see a lot of that in what the kind of imagery that Ren is putting on here. I'll pour this pestilence into his ears, Othello. So there's a lot of, I heard about, Ren said something about poisoning the veins. And I like that, poisoned veins, poisoned ears. There's lies and toxin. I think that's great. I think I already mentioned the painting in the last video, The Sleep of Reason Produces Monsters by Goya. Money is a game, turns a saint into a sinner, business economics and a nursery rhyme. So this makes me think of Paradise Lost again, like I said last time in the other video. So this is Mammon, the least erected spirit that fell forever. For even in heaven, his looks and thoughts were always downward bent, admiring more the riches of heaven's pavement trodden gold. So that whole idea is very common in the Bible, in the Christian sense of the desire for earthly things, I think is the broader context of what this means, leads to evil and to corruption. I have to be honest and say I don't quite agree with that. I do agree that we live in a weird time today, and we have for a long time, where money and like monetary policy has been wrapped up so intensely with government powers, not only American or British or English or other, but all kind of global powers that are intermixing in such complicated ways. I can't even fathom how they all work. And it's led to such a complexity that I do think a lot of the money and how it's operating is a game, and it does often turn people who maybe could be better into sinners. I wouldn't say that all business and all economics is, that involves money is evil by its nature. Again, I'm here trying to develop a career that I hope will make some money, doing these things and trading with you and giving you education, and hopefully, and Ren is definitely doing the same thing, which is why I want you guys to pay to Ren, go to his Patreon, because he is doing good work. But yes, I do agree that in this there's corporate issues that become married with government that I think is really challenging and problematic. There's a painting by George Frederick Watts, Mammon, 1885, which I think it fits here because it makes me think of this brutal allegory of money trampling the weak, which again is one of the most common myths throughout all of history, is the idea that the money lenders, the money people, always stamp the lower downs. I have a little bit of a different view on it, which if you're interested, we could talk about some other time. Yeah, I really liked the whole she sells, laws of supply and demand create scarcity. I just love the way he talks about it. And it makes me think of like manufactured desire that you see in like, I think in the Plato's Gorgias, they talk about rhetoric persuades but does not teach. And there is a real problem with being rhetorical and very powerful in rhetoric, which I think most politicians are, and not being interested or desirous of teaching. But we have a system, and we have for a long time, that pushes forth the people who can sell seashells, manipulate things rhetorically. They're not interested in the education part. And people who've tried to educate rarely ever get to a high level. And that's a problem. Hopefully we can live in a new world with, maybe YouTube will fix that. I don't know. Just kidding. But I'm hopeful. There's Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. Ending is better than mending. Influencers, primetime entertainment is a big view in Brave New World, where you're taking a pill to just forget about all the problems and just live and just enjoy, pure pleasure, but we sometimes want negative things. And there's a painting of tulips, the Tulip Defender. I can't remember the name of this painting. I'll pop it up on screen. And man, I think of that because I think about the kind of desired for manufacturing scarcity, which does sometimes happen, although it never happens to good effect. There's always bad things. And I think in a better, less government monopoly world of economics, I don't think that monopolies are even possible without government. I think you have to have government to develop a monopoly. That's my view. But he talks about here in a line 3, it's monopoly, start a corporation, swallow your morals, poor man's quality. I read this last time, so there's Macbeth. I have no spur, but only vaunting ambition. What I think of. Wren had this whole thing about 4, like he was giving these 1, 2, 3, 4 thing. 4, expand, clear forest, fresh blood on hand. And that made me think of just the imagery made me think of the raft of Medusa, which I don't think has any kind of political view. It's a romantic painting. And it made me think of The Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, which is a great book. And this whole idea of expand, the conquest of the earth is not a pretty thing when you look into it too much. There is some things that I think it's important to always have context, but if you've ever seen like how they get rare earth minerals, I mean, it's horrific. And you just can't escape the horror of that. And those rare earth metals is what I'm talking into right now. I have an iPhone here, and that's using rare earth metals to get into that, man. I have a lot to say about this one, and I don't think I can have time to talk about it. 6, sell water to a fish, sell the time to a clock, which is so great. I will just say this. So one, it made me think of the commodity fetishism in Karl Marx. I'm not a fan of Marx, as you could probably guess, but he said some very interesting things. I think people should read him, definitely. And he says in there, in Capital, a commodity is a very queer thing, abounding in metaphysical subtleties and theological niceties. So he makes commodities a little more than just like oil. There's all the surrounds it. There's metaphysical subtleties and theological niceties all kind of wrapped into it, that I think is a part of what he's critiquing. But what Wren I found interesting is my background is actually professionally is a salesperson. I've been a salesperson. And one of the things I've learned about being a good salesperson is not selling time to a clock, or, like there's an old saying, he was such a good salesperson, he could sell ketchup to a woman in white gloves, or he could sell ice to an Eskimo. I hate that so much because it's true. There are people like that, by the way. There are people who will manipulate and lie to you, but that's the underlying view of it. What I think a good salesperson actually does is help you connect and talk to you and help you connect with what you genuinely value in the world, the things and desires and hopes and vision of the world that you have, and again, values, and connects that to whatever he or she might be selling. And sometimes that means that this isn't right for you. So I think a good salesperson would say, this Eskimo does not need ice. A clock does not need to have time sold to it. But I like that whole imagery. Yeah, I mean, he has these things about polarizing the people, controversy is the game. There's just so much. It made me think of Ozymandias, the world is yours, liar, cheat, devil, whore. Like just this whole idea of my name is Ozymandias, king of kings. Look on my works, ye mighty in despair. I've mentioned this in other videos of his. I'm seeing certain connections between lots of different videos now that I'm watching more of his music. There's a lot of Faustus in it, which is this kind of duel. I'm going to sell my soul to the devil in order to achieve earthly fame and power. When Wren says the world is yours, I think of Saturn devouring his son, which is a painting by Goya, brutal painting, but it's part of the Greek mythology, which had this tyrannical cycle of being a tyrant, but then killing the father and you becoming the tyrant, and then you killing the father. And it's like, and I see a lot of that in Wren, of this cycle happening over and over again. I was thinking about the whole idea of part of the old money game, made me think of The Great Gatsby, the careless old money, the kind of what that does to people to have this old money. I think we sometimes desire and think, oh, like I don't come from old money at all. I'm going to inherit pretty much nothing. But when I think about people who do, I've met a lot of people who are going to inherit a lot. There's some good stuff to that, I guess, but there's also, and it sounds great in a sense because it's like, oh, I have all my needs taken care of. But I think of that as such a negative thing so many times because you can't develop a self often. And it sometimes and often can develop a kind of carelessness in this old money. So my overall analysis is I see Ren kind of opening up with this Yeats, this kind of the center is falling apart. And he moves into poisoning the veins, which makes me think of Shakespeare's Iago. I'll pour this pestilence into his ear. There's a shell to the economy. So there's a whole economic viewpoint that Ren is putting into this, which I think is interesting. And then there's the way that you get what you want in the money game. I think that's what Ren is talking about, which is this rhetorical view, the polarizing the people. Words had to change their usual meanings, Thucydides says. And I think there's a lot of that in Ren. And then the world is yours once you can accomplish this. So there's a lot about the imagery I saw was all of politicians using economic power, which I think unfortunately does happen all the time. And that I definitely do not agree with. I think that's really bad when the government gets involved in economics like that. And because they gain power and then they can do some really nasty things that we've seen in history. Ren always just fires me up and I could go on and on about so many cool things. So thank you for joining me in this discussion of Ren's The Money Game Part Dos. Go check out his Patreon first. And then if you have time, check out my book, Homer's The Iliad, and explore some great literature. See you next time.